guy did not just ruin my world just for that. Thankfully, I have a backup though. Oh shit. Oh. Uh-oh. Sup Maids, how long has it been? Anyways, it's me Maiden and welcome back to another Minecraft video. And guess what? Today I'm a maid. Like always have been. So anyways, if you've not been keeping around with me for a while now, I've made several unmade versions of Orbital strike cannons for Minecraft Bedrock. Including these. Which are absolute bangers by the way. So anyways, quick recap, there's this Mark IV which is the best of the best, then there's this Mark III that came from the worst, then there's this Mark II which is known for having the most command blocks of them all, and then there's this Mark I which we don't talk about that has the worst results by far, yet ended up gathering the most views out of all of them combined. Alright, maybe not. So anyways, that's a whole full reason why we should not do another one of these said orbital strike cannons. Yeah, no refuse. So right here, I prepared for you guys some Orbital Strike Cannon Madness, which consists of both the Mark IV and the Mark V. Alright, editor Maiden here. Unfortunately, the audio accompanied by this video was lost during the process, so I had to voice over everything. If you couldn't tell, I was pointing by both the platforms of Orbital Strike Cannon Mark IV and Mark V, which I changed from Obsidian to Bedrock. Anyways, the purpose of that is to make the platform spawn-proof because these versions of orbital strike cannons rely heavily on structure, loads, and save, which also saves all the mobs on the platform, not just the TNT. And if you couldn't also tell, I relocated the platform from above the command block setup to below, which not only improves the visibility of the setup, but also makes the viewing of the payload shape a lot more easier in case you wanted to redo its shape. Are we done now? And also you could now destroy this fill command since it's really just useless. Once you activate it once, you're never going to use that command block again. And for the Mark V version, I separated this command block, so if you want to destroy it, you could. And I only put the command block there for good measure since you could also just type the same command in there using the chat for the same result. And also don't ask what happened to the maid outfit since I kinda deleted that for the time being. So now as you can see, the summon tower on Mark IV minus the fill command right there is now as tall as the summon tower in Mark V, which means they also have the same function. It's just that the coordinates used on this are different. As you can see, we also managed to remove this comparator, so now you didn't have to cover your setup with indestructible blocks like Bedrock just to keep your comparator from breaking. And yeah, that's one of Mark V's strengths. And as you can see, we also managed to remove and compact this a little bit. So yeah, that's why we don't need the comparator anymore, because this one is pretty useless, so we're not using that anymore. Wait. Why are we destroying that command block? Well, you see, that command block basically has this exact input. This basically just detects a fishing hook, but and if only there is a player that checks out these three factors. First is that the player has a fishing rod inside their inventory. Second is that the fishing rod needs to have the data value of 1001. Third and lastly, the player needs to hold that fishing rod. Once the command block detects that fishing hook, it'll fire a redstone signal which the comparator will output and then activate the succeeding command blocks. But nah, scrap all that, we don't need that. We have something better. Ladies, gents, and maids, I introduce to you the third command block. So basically, we've been relying on the single command block to fire a signal when it detects the special fishing hook, and then it will activate all these command blocks once it does. But we also have another way of detecting the activation, such as this. Alright, real quick. This basically just tags the player that has the special fishing rod once it detects any type of fishing hook. And since this already exists in our command block setup, we could use this as our activator. You see what I mean? It's basically killing two birds with one stone. Or I prefer not to kill them. And since tagging player only activates once, this eliminates the need for a comparator and our impulse command block duo. And in addition to that, if we add this line, our setup will not activate if there is someone who is using it currently. Because if two players use it at the same time, the setup will probably break. That's why I added this. Pretty cool, right? I know. And now you might ask, aside from reducing one command block from our setup, what other problems does it solve? Yeah, I'm talking to you. Nah, JK. Here are some problems from my Discord. But what if I say to you there's another non-essential command block we can remove? Now I'm here to introduce to you to summon XP Orb, which we don't need. Alright, here's what's going on in a nutshell. We basically have 4 command blocks that makes the raycasting work. Raycasting is basically just a fancy term we use on our aim system we have on our setup. The way it works is first is summoning the XP Orb near the command block that is executing the command. Second is executing a command inside a certain radius which tags that certain XP orb with a unique ID. Third is teleporting that XP orb in front of the player's eyes, and then fourth is the ray casting itself. And then once that XP orb collides with a block or hits the TP limit of the raycast, it will signal the other command block in line to activate, which loads the orbital strike cannon structure 60 blocks above the tag XP orb. Pretty easy, right? We don't need it. Instead of using 4 command blocks, why don't we use 3 instead? You see, the method we're currently using summons an XP orb and then tags that XP orb and then teleport that XP orb in front of where the player is looking. Along with the raycast itself, that totals up to 4 command blocks used. Did I seriously just explain that 2 times? But anyways, we can do better. By summoning the XP orb directly at where the player is looking at and then tagging it right then and there, along with the raycasting itself, that only totals to 3 command blocks used. See what I mean? To do that, we're going to exchange these 4 commands with these 3. And now, aside from decreasing 1 command block yet again, what problems does it solve? Well, feast your eyes. By now we should have decreased 3 command blocks in total. But the effectiveness of this thing is still not as effective as the real Mark V. You see, we still have the null problem. And I realized that we could just simply fix that by replacing at E with as at E, then doing at S afterwards. And the same solution goes for the item break. And this might be a good time to warn you that unless you don't want your orbital strike cannon to look like this, then do not build it near or outside 10k out of spawn, so look for your coordinates. Should be fine to activate it beyond 10k blocks, but building it there will break it. Now would also be probably a good time to mention that I decreased the amount of TNT being summoned from Mark IV to Mark V, from being 1127 TNTs to now being 757. This is intentional so the Mark V can support lower-end devices. However, a fair trade-off that it has is making the edges of the damage from being smooth to very ugly and undesirable rough shape. But if you want your Mark V to have the same amount of TNT being summoned as the Mark IV, you could always just change the AS@E value from the default Mark V version to the Mark IV version. Everything is customizable according to your needs. Now that the Orbital Strike Cannon is summoned, there's only two other things we need to address left. First is breaking the fishing rod for added realism and more lore-accurate nuke shot just like in Wemble's videos. We can achieve that by having a command block setup that first replaces your fishing rod with air and then later on playing an item break sound effect. If you don't want your fishing rod to break, however, I have a separate video explaining how to do that. You can check that out in the description below or on the top right corner. Anyways, now that that's out of the way, the last thing we need to do is kill the XP orb and remove the tag from the player. This allows us to use the nuke shot for a second time and so on. By now you would be wondering, where do I get this setup? Well, it's actually available on my Discord since like 5 days ago. That's how updated my Discord community is, but only sometimes. And that shall be all for this video. Anyways, if you enjoy watching this or it's helpful to you in any way, feel free to subscribe so we can see each other again. Alright, now that we're done, goodbye, peace.